the topic is intentional aging. And the three keys I see in aging are moving, meditation, and mindfulness. So moving is two areas that I think are huge. When I see people, what's important in the people I see who are aging is balance and the ability to sit to stand. Those are basics. All the years we think about, oh, I'm going to go work out so I can be strong as I age, and then maybe we do or maybe we don't. But if we could just do activities that focus on those two items, we will be able to keep our independence longer. So balance, that may be standing on one leg. So maybe you're going through the kitchen, or maybe you're washing dishes or something, and you just stand on one leg and then stand on the other leg and then go about your business. So working it into your day. It might be when you put your socks on or shoes on, maybe try to balance more. So anything in your day that you could work on your balance, which leads to fall prevention. And the second, the sit to stand. If you lose your ability to go from sit to standing, you've really lost your independence. And I've seen, I was aware of that, but when I saw it in real life, it was very impactful. So, and how can we improve that? That's just doing that motion, sitting to standing every day, more than you generally do. So that could look like find a chair. Maybe it's when you use the toilet. Anytime you see a bench, oh, I'm just going to go over there, and you sit down and you stand up, and maybe you do that 5 times, maybe you do it 20 times. If you could do it more than you usually do, that would be great. And sometimes you might need to use a chair, a table, or something to help yourself up. But if you can keep those muscles going, it's going to help you long term. So mindfulness, to me, that's like our spiritual inner awareness, the spiritual process, spiritual connection that is valuable. And third, what we're going to talk about today, mindfulness. Part of that is being intentional about what we're visualizing and what we're holding in our mind. Jerry used to say, we're not responsible for the thoughts that come through our mind, but what we hold there, that's what we're responsible for. We have control over that. So I'm going to start us off by just reading. It's a few pages about this topic, and it's from this book, Living the Spiritual Principles of Health and Well-Being by J.R. and Paul K. I haven't picked this one up in a while, but I picked it up for today's class, and I'm going to leave it out now and look at it because it's got some really amazing tips. So you could sit back and relax. This is not a meditation, but you could have someone reading to you aloud. Those were the days. So this is under the principle number 2 in the book. Hold the images in your mind that you want more of. And the quote that starts that chapter is, "In my dream, the angel shrugged and said, if we fail this time, it will be a failure of imagination. And then she placed the world gently in the palm of my hand." And that's Brian Andreas quote. Okay, so here's from the book. It's vitally important. Okay, take 2. A vitally important theme in this book is hold images in your mind that you want more of. I strongly suggest that if you want to go in the direction of better health on all levels, start building that habit now. When you maintain a positive image, the basic self accepts it and works with it. If you place a clear image forward, the basic self sees it and goes to work to make it come about. Once the basic self has a clear image of the goal, it will work towards it 24 hours a day, even when you aren't thinking about it consciously. The basic self is full of energy to express itself. It works to fulfill those images that it has recorded, even if they're old bad habits, old habit patterns. So to change a habit, it's a matter of redirecting the basic self to fulfill a new image that is more suitable to you. How can you heal your body? I'll go back to it again. Keep the pictures in your mind that you want more of. Keep those pictures in your mind and always look towards them. And move your body into those things that you want more of and feel good towards. The alignment between the thought and feeling you have and the moving of the body towards the image starts to heal the body. Let your face light up with the blessing of being alive. Just hold with that image through everything. Our subconscious mind communicates with us and with each other. So does, I'm sorry, I'm not a very good reader today, but I'm going to improve that. Our subconscious mind communicates with us and with each other and does so in picture form. Those things that you want in your life, picture them for your subconscious mind to look at. Make that picture as exact as you possibly can. Remember to always ask that only things that are for your highest good be brought forward. Picture the organs of your body that have been disturbing you as perfect. If you've been having trouble with your lower back or a kidney, tell that organ now that it is perfect and perfectly functioning because that's the way it is designed to be. That's the way it will be now. It is all now. This second is your eternity. It's brand new. Imagine your way to vibrant health. We already do a good job of imagining our way to illness. If this process of life is here for us to learn and grow, and we can enter into illness, we can reverse the process and enter into health because the path doesn't go one way, it stays open. When we feel like we're stepping out of the light, we can step right back into it again and go on and keep lifting into the higher consciousness. The light and the spirit are with everyone at all times, regardless. All we are doing is activating it. The Bible says, as a man thinks, in his heart he becomes. And one of the laws of the mind is hold the pictures in your mind that you want more of, and you'll get it. If you hold the picture in your mind you want less of, you're going to get it. So when you start getting the things that you don't really care for, and you come complaining to me, I'll say, well, what have you been thinking about? You'll tell me and I'll see, you see it works. And I'll say, you see it works. It's a negative proof, but it is clear proof of how this works. There's no need to play victim to your mind. You can also transcend the physical boundaries of the mind by focusing upon the transcendent. Instead of focusing upon the boundaries, we focus beyond the boundaries. Instead of focusing upon our lack, we focus on our supply. We can get out of bed, go to work, or look for a job. And while you're doing all that, breathe in and breathe out and be happy and joyful. Why? Because that's what's really going on. Hopefully along the way, you mature and realize you're not part of this, that you're visiting this earth on vacation, and that really you are here to go beyond it. At some point in all of this, inside you, the joy is ever present. That the joy that is ever present says, hey, I'm spirit. I am spirit. My God, I've always been that. And from that point on, you just focus upon that. I hope you are getting that the correct use of this creative imagination is one of your biggest keys. It's like to issue a life challenge for you. I'd like to issue a life challenge for you. And just start out by trying it for a week. Hold the pictures in your mind that you want more of, keeping in mind that which is for the highest good. Thank you for your patience with my reading today.
That was awesome. Thank you. Just what I needed to hear.
Just what you needed to hear. I love that. So, as we talk about intentional aging, so I've been a geriatric care manager for over 20 years and have helped adult children usually or spouse help with aging loved ones. And usually, they call and say, mom or dad went from being fine to not find. And um, so I've walked a lot of people through like that time to the end of their life. And I've seen uh, I've seen the difference that being intentional brings. Let somebody come in here. And having a vision for what is it? What does the rest of my life look like? Oftentimes we plan and we envision early on in our lives, like, hey, where am I going to go to college, and who am I going to meet? Who am I going to marry? What's my wedding going to look like? What's my first house going to look like? But the images out there of people aging are sometimes not so positive. And even, in our politics right now, there's a lot of ageism going on as far as are people too old to lead the country, Um, so there's a lot of things underlying that, but you see there's a lot of messages that happen like, well, aging looks a certain way. So I love when I see like online posts about like this woman is 105 and she's still doing yoga, or the positive images. So I really try to plant those in my mind as far as how am I going to look when I'm aging? And then it helps me move today. I've been working with these, older people for a long time, and I kept saying to myself, I really need to get in shape because I want to be healthy when I get older. And I kept kind of not doing it as much as I thought, not doing it until I started not moving as well as I would like. I noticed my strength wasn't quite as good as it always had been, and my balance, just things just seemed a little bit off. And finally, it was finally that time. It was like, okay, it's time. I know what I know what this is going to go if I don't do anything about it. So for the last year and a half, I've been at the gym 3 times a week, lifting weights, walking more, practicing my balancing, practicing my getting down on the ground and getting back up with no hands, anything that you can do at the level that you're at. So just doing a little bit more. So that's my, my vision of my aging is I'm traveling, I'm walking, I'm healthy, I'm playing with my grandkids if that happens. Um, so I think the oldest person I've seen that with is maybe like I want to say 110. So before, when I thought, oh, well, maybe 90, my grandma lived to 92, but maybe it's 100, but it's certainly quality versus quantity. Anyway, so I would love to open it up if you have comments, questions, sharing. You can always do that, and you can share on this topic. Sometimes people come on and say, I have a specific situation going on, I'd like them some guidance with. So it's open for that. Um, or hearing your vision of your intentional aging. John and Lori.
Hey there. Well, I was reminded of the unplanned nature of our departure date. One of our people that we know kind of well, who's probably about 50, just was feeling kind of tired, lay down, and his daughter came in an hour later, and he was gone. And it was I had a couple of thoughts. One was, wow, that's really how I'd like to go, and the other was, wow, that's a big deal. But
Let's see if she can get us in
on the
here.
other end, just that was kind of like my little disclaimer, like
Yeah,
whenever
somewhere.
it's the passport says that your visa has expired,
Right.
but on the other end, to me, that my guiding reference point, it was kind of unconscious for about 42 years when, because JR gave this 2 seminars at the end of they did 2 trainings at Baraka in the old 2101 building, the old Baraka Health Center. And JR did like the closing seminar. They were called the health awareness trainings, the hat training. You got a little hat, baseball cap. And I was at least the first one. And he gave this seminar that was so radically mind-blowing to me that I just kind of went, I'll have to listen to the tape, because I can't really absorb all that. But then I realized when I finally did hear it on that, which is, oh my God, that's really been guiding my life and guiding the life of our family over all these years. That seminar is called Where Do We Get Our Nutritional Energy? But to me, the most profound thing that he says in there is he says, well, and he starts the seminar out by saying, I'm going to say some radical things. Well, actually, they're revolutionary things. And so, but anyway, he says, 20 to 30,000 years ago, it was unheard of that somebody would live less than 500 years. And at 2,000 years old, they had a bunch of kids running around. So having kids at 2,000 years old, I think that speaks to quality as well as quantity, right? Hey man, that's a lot of energy, right? So, and then that's 20 to 30,000 years ago. So my thinking was oh, maybe we just should do the opposite of everything we're doing now, where we think, oh, they're 90, they're so old, and then, but in our more recent epic, we'll say, let's go back 3,400 years to Moses. We have Moses, leaving at 120 years old. And maybe that was because, he did something he wasn't supposed to do. He didn't, Joshua got to take them all into the promised land, and et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, Moses had said he said two things. I remember one of them, which his eyes were undimmed. And I think the other statement had to do with his mind was very much intact. And that was at 120. So I just kind of think, I just think, wow, maybe we can be open to a really, to use JR's words, radical and revolutionary point of view that a lot of things are possible. And just knowing that that's possible is, like you said, Cheryl, boom, as your gesture demonstrated.
Mm-hmm.
So God bless us all. And we're, I can honestly say that we, my personal health is radically different than it was 30 years ago. So I'm very grateful for that. And thank you, JR.
Thank you. Anne.
Hi, thank you for having me here. I live in Sweden, but I'm right now Prana visiting. That's why the timing was such a good time to come here. And
Nice.
I'm actually in Sweden taking care of my mom, who is now turning 95. And exactly what you say, I mean, this is what I've been doing my best to help her with, is to work on her balance and to sit and stand, to rise up from sitting. And as much as I and other people, her chiropractor and so on, are encouraging her to do that, but she doesn't really want to practice it. Do you have any kind of advice how I can, help her or support her in a way to get going on that?
Well, it's a great question. I find that people will do what they do. They want to do it their way. For 20 years, I've been, hundreds and hundreds of people. And there's a handful. I think if I put it in numbers, it might be under 10% of the people. I'll just say 10%. I'll give people a break. That actually do what's suggested by others. So when I'm saying work on your balance, sit to stand, I'm really talking to you. It's like the people that show up here are probably going to be those people that will do something where they go well, I'll think about that. Or maybe it might be a year from now. And you're starting to feel a little I'm feeling a little weaker than I used to. And you'll go, Cheryl told me to do this. And so maybe I'll try that out. sometimes it takes that long. So through my experience of myself and other people, I have just come to say you can suggest it. Sometimes if they hear it from a doctor or physical therapist, sometimes they'll listen if they have a really favorite doctor, and that doctor could say it in a way and like, oh, you've been telling her for years, but that one particular doctor will say it and she'll go, oh my gosh, that's a great idea, or not. And part of caretaking is really allowing the person the dignity of their process and their life and their karma and their choices. And sometimes that's the hardest thing to do, especially if we have rules about what a good daughter, a good son does. Like a good daughter encourages her mother to exercise. A good mother, a good daughter does blank, whatever those blank, because you want to feel good. You want to feel like I've done my mom right. I have integrity. So if sometimes it's just letting yourself off the hook for being over responsible is, I can't tell you the times that people just come, oh wow, I don't have to do anything. I could just love them. I can encourage them, but not too often. So it's sort of backing off. Less is more. And sometimes that's difficult because your parents' choices or your partner's choices affect your life. If you're there 24/7, or if you live nearby and you're the one that goes over, and because she's not choosing to practice her rising, sit to stand, and she's stuck on the toilet for hours and then calls you like, I can't get up, or she's somewhere that she can't and she needs your help. So she calls you, can you come over, honey? Now her choices are affecting you. So then you allow yourself the same freedom as you give her. You have the choice. Is this mine to do? Is this mine to go help her? And allow yourself to go yes or no. And then if it's no, but she needs more support, can you help her? Is there something you could suggest to her that she could use, that she could get the help she needs? Oh, maybe there's a neighbor. Maybe there's another sibling. Maybe there's a hired caregiver that can come in if she needs help in certain activities of daily living, dressing, bathing, walking, cooking. So you can offer. I'm kind of giggling inside because I'm thinking of my teenage daughter who's 16, and like I have all kind of good ideas for her too. And my mother, my 84-year-old mother, is going to come in town today, stay with us for a little while, and I might have really good ideas for her. So I've got good ideas, and my teenager doesn't usually want them. Rightfully so. She's differentiating. She's building her own life. She's finding out who she is and how she can do it herself. And I need to trust her that she's got this. I could ask her, how can I support you? And then listen to what she has to say. Sometimes it's like, I'm good. I'm okay. And really that's really what I want to know from my teenager or from my older mother. I want to know they're okay. And if there is a way I can support them, that I'm here in the ways that I can be here. And I get to make the boundary of what I can give. Does that help?
Thank you. It seems like, you just kind of confirm that I'm actually doing the right things on the right track. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Because it is the balance of figure out where, how responsible, and I'm not responsible for her, but, when to support them and not to support them, where the line and the balance between that as well. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome. I would say the second piece for a caregiver like yourself is you can suggest lovingly, hey, I've heard of this, or, get their doctor's support like we talked about. But the second thing is that we all are going to need help someday, unless we just, like dropped dead of a heart attack and gone. So that person's, not in that boat, but most of us will need help. And so for your peace of mind, you may want to like just start thinking of a plan B, or even asking her like if she will have the dialogue with you. Hey, if you need some help eventually, because I know you don't need help now, where do you want to be? Where do you want to live? Do you want to live here? Do you want to live, you want to go to assisted living? I'm not sure the resources there where she is, but what's your vision of the future? What, is there anything? And then that can open up dialogue about other things. What do you have, anything on your bucket list? Anything you always wanted to do? Anybody you wanted to see? Anybody you want to talk to? So with her ideas, as far as if she wants to live somewhere else or if she wants to stay at home, she goes, really want to stay at home. Most people will say that. Most people will not say, when I grow up, I want to go to assisted living. Except, I'm ready to move into assisted living now because I've seen some really nice assisted livings, and maintaining a house is a lot of energy. And so I'm like, yeah, have someone cook and clean and shop and all that stuff for me. And I could use my time otherwise. But most people in this age range that are getting old enough to, choose assisted living right currently, they're not just jumping at it. So she might say, I want to stay at home. So you can talk to her about it and also start creating a plan B. Does she need grab bars? Does she need a ramp somewhere? Can she get in and out? Are there rugs around that she might trip on? Is the house well lit at night so she doesn't fall? Is a clear path to places? So you're starting to think about those things that you can do for yourself, because eventually she's going to need some help. And then when she needs the help, it won't be a surprise to you. Or you find out, like here, I would say in United States, that might be I just haven't checked it out in other countries, but they might be worldwide. There's an organization in the field that I do, geriatric care management. There's care managers all over the country and most likely all over the world. And if you go to agingcarelife.org, then you can just type in their zip code and find someone. So there's probably professionals in the area that you might say, hey, do you have resources for aging parents? What do you suggest as far as what I might look for in the future that she needs at home? So we
are pretty well set up with that. Actually, she has an alarm on her arm all the time, so if there is an emergency, she can always get help coming in as well. So but it was really like, thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks. Great question.
Thank you, Karen.
Anybody else? Karen.
So I want to give a shout out to Microscopic Steps. So because I live with Cheryl and she's full of great ideas, I am the recipient of lots of great ideas on a very regular basis. And she's talked to me about this idea about, can you get up off the floor without, using your arms or something? And that is not something I can do right now. But I have found myself feeling, just minimally inspired to try to put my socks on without sitting down and just do it standing up. And, most days I have to lean against the wall, but I am trying to do those things because I also get to see the things that Cheryl sees pretty regularly. And I want to live a vibrant end of my life, however long that might be. And then, so I've had this goal for a while now that I want to walk 10,000 steps a day. And for a long time, what that would look like for me is I would be walking just like whatever I walk. And then the next day, I think I should be able to walk 10,000 steps a day, every day for the rest of my life. And that commitment should be super easy and, like that. But because I've done a lot of work and I've had a lot of opportunities to see how that doesn't really happen, I made a goal that I was going to walk 1 mile a day, which honestly is almost impossible not to do just by being in your life, at least in my life. So I said for 2 weeks, actually it was for 30 days, I'm going to walk 1 mile a day. And I wear a watch that tracks how many steps I make and how far I go. And I realized, wow, it's almost impossible for me not to walk a mile. And so I was spending time letting my basic self know, I know I've broken my agreements countless times. I'm going to take it just a little step at a time. And after the first 33 days, I felt like, my basic self was like, okay, that's really great. We're all lined up. And then we had, on Thanksgiving, we did a turkey trot, which was 5K. And I didn't really have a sense of what that was. It seemed like a long way. And when we did it, I was like, oh, I could totally do that every day. And I realized 5K is 3.1 miles. So my next step was I'm going to do 3.1 miles, which was not difficult. It took more intentionality. I had to really set the intention that that was something I was going to do. Anyway, to make a very long story short, every couple of weeks, I would bump my goal up just a little bit more. And right now I'm at 9,000 steps a day. It definitely takes intentionality. In about a week, I'm going to move it to 10,000 steps, but it's taken me about 2 months from starting with just 1 mile a day to what I actually wanted to do. And it seems like taking those baby steps has made it seem possible, doable. My basic self is lined up. I feel like I have a lot more energy. And so that's my shout out to microscopic steps for anybody that might need a little encouragement in that way. All right. Love to everyone.
Yeah, I remember it was a couple months ago so we talk about community, right? How can we be intentional and how can our community support us? So a friend of mine who posts online, and she's some influencer in the parenting sphere, she was posting about this challenge of getting up off the floor with no hands. And so then I started trying it. And then I mentioned it to Karen and go, hey, can you get up off the floor? And she's like, no, that's dumb. Like, why would I need to? Like kind of like, I don't want to do that. Sort of like, our parents can be. How about, doing this exercise? No. But I think it planted a seed of like, should I be able to get off the floor? Can I get off the floor? And so then she could start thinking about it. So when we share things in community, it can support us. And I had one other thing about that. I was gonna say Carol's on the phone or on the call, but she was part of creating a workshop called Joyful Transitions through PTS. And one of the processes in there, it's a great class. One of the processes is envisioning your own passing. Like, how do you want to pass? And most people are like, well, I want it to be. I don't think I've ever heard someone say like, I want it to be hard and suffering and like that, right? No. So most people are like, I want to pass in my sleep. I want to do this or that. And we've actually heard stories of people that have had an intention to pass a certain way and that actually did happen. So yeah, a friend of ours, husband, he always wanted to just like sneak out the back door and just kind of slip out. And that's actually what happened. He didn't go through a door, but he just passed. Like, and then he was doing fine. I mean, he started having some health challenges. So it wasn't be like, surprise. It was a surprise, but it was like, okay, that makes sense. He wasn't completely healthy, but he did just pass in his sleep. And it felt like to his wife that he kind of slipped out the back, like the back door. So anyway, that's part of using your imagination for your life, your aging, your passing of, visualize more of what you want. And microscopic steps. Hi, Don.
I couldn't figure out how to raise my hand.
That works.
I wanted, thanks. I wanted to ask you, the lady was using Microsoft something, and I'm working also with the increased distance walking. What was the program or watch she used, and any other suggestions? I have an iPhone.
So I have an Apple Watch. sorry,
Ah,
I have an Apple Watch, and there's, I don't know, there's like these 3 circles. I can't remember what they're called. It's like a green, a blue, a green, and a red circle. I don't know if you can see. Oh.
well, good
Um,
enough.
and
Apple
when I
Watch.
tap
Mhm.
and when I tap on it, it'll tell me how many steps I've taken, how far I've gone, and it even tells me how many flights of stairs I've climbed. And I'll just say, if you want to cheat your watch, I've noticed that when I go in an elevator, it actually tells me it tells me I've climbed flights. So if I was in a contest, I know just where I would go to get lots and lots of floors on my watch. But in any case, this has been really great for me, just because I love being able to track what I'm doing. It's like cheering me on when I know I've just got 200 steps to go, and I'll sometimes go out late at night and just walk up and down the sidewalks until I get to my goal, because it feels like such a celebration at the end of the day. So I
Thank you.
love my Apple Watch. So I hope
Well,
that'll help.
someone gave me an Apple Watch some long time ago, and somewhere I'm going to find that, and that'll be cool. Meanwhile, I've got my Apple phone. Anyone using just an Apple phone with one of the apps on it or something? Okay,
I
thank
have,
you for that.
I was just looking it up because I have an Apple Watch, but I'm not usually using it. And it says the health app on your iPhone automatically counts your steps, walking and running distances. So you may try the health app on
I'll look
your,
it up. Excellent. Yeah, I
yeah.
have just found the path that I measured out by driving, and so I know what a mile is.
Oh, good.
I'm according to my health issue that day, my walk consists of about 400 feet slowly with 2
Okay.
canes, or I do my mile plus. I mean, whatever it is that day.
Yes. Yeah. And that's why I say, well, it, for me, like my health goal, when I say I'm going to work out, I have all these dreams of like, I'm at the gym for X amount of time and keeping my heart rate at X amount of time for X amount of time. Like all these convoluted, confusing, expansive goals. And then it just felt like too much. So I just didn't do anything. So
Right.
then I just go, I'm just going to show up at the gym 3 times a week. And what really helped me is we talked about community. What
Mm.
is, I think, the only thing that helps me get to the gym regularly is to have a person, an accountability partner to work out with. For me, that has been the only thing in my life that I've gone consistently, because I know, and my friend is reliable. When we say a time, we're both there. So it could be some people text each other
Mhm.
and say, hey, have you worked out? How are your steps doing? Whatever. So accountability helps some people. Um, there's some people that can just schedule it, and because they scheduled it, they hold that commitment to themselves. I am very good at committing to other people. I will be on that. I will do that. For commitments with myself, it really helps to have a person outside of myself and also outside of my home to do things with. And also small steps. Like really, I understand and respect that for some people during some times, just being able to stand up is all they could do. It takes so much energy to stand up and just walk from wherever you are to the bathroom
Mhm.
and back. So wherever you are now, and of course, take your doctor's advice, um, and it could be even sitting. Maybe for today it's this, right?
Mhm.
Or maybe when you're using a chair to help to get out, your triceps are very important. So maybe, you're sitting in your chair and you just push up like this a little bit,
Mhm.
as much as you can, you know, anything just to do a little bit more than you're required to in your daily, what you normally do. Um, so just a little bit, and that will increase over time. Compounding interest.
Thanks for the encouragement. Yeah, I have kind of a pen pal, a friend. I'm a chiropractor kind of not doing much, not doing much lately, but so this is one of my patients from 30, 40 years ago, who's now who's become a friend, and we mentor each other very often. She kind of prods me. Well, how'd you do on your walk? and I do a lot of
That's
helping
great.
her get into her things and stuff. Yeah, having some kind of person to share, because there are a lot of days I don't really care about myself anyway. Kind of, I'm not doing these things, but if that person that I've known for all these years, that bossy lady out there, is bugging me
Yeah.
about it,
Yeah.
it's true.
Yes. Yeah. That's a great point. And that's another point, Anne, is sometimes our parents don't want to hear advice from us. Well, I mentioned it with the doctor. Sometimes it's a doctor, but sometimes it could be a friend, a neighbor that will say something and you're like, oh, okay. I will tell our daughter something for a long time. We won't do it. And then she'll like, oh my gosh, my English teacher told me this. And I
Yes.
just thought that was brilliant. And I'm like, are you serious? That's what we've been saying. So it's like letting go of like being attached to, I'm going to be the hero. I'm going to be what helps you and saves you. It's just like, doesn't matter where the information comes from. But anyway, yeah. So getting support as we need more support,
Yes.
helps.
Looking for more. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. It's really nice to see you.
Sorry I was late. I had internet problems.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. I'm really glad you're here.
I guess I'd add, as a doctor for all these years, I and also an amateur radio operator. I've worked as a doctor and as a ham radio operator, helping in all these marathons and bicycle rides for charity and stuff, and the doctor at a marathon, and so I'm dealing with doing these super athlete. I forgot where I was going with that. Anyway, never mind.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're saying, as a doctor of all these athletes, these like really serious athletes.
Oh, I remember where I'm going. I became really, really well aware constantly of the research that shows. Basically, it shows if you're lying in bed and you move your limbs you've got. I'm going to make up figures. You've got half the benefit of if you got up and you walked around the house a little bit. If you go from that to being able to walk around the block, that's not that's a lot. But if you go from walking around the block to walking a mile, it's not like 10 times more better for you. It's maybe twice better for you. So these runners and stuff, when they can't do their whole marathon, I say, oh, okay, well, you do 4 miles. Here's the research that shows that the maximum heart benefit from running tends to be plateaued at 4 miles. If you've done 4 miles, that's that's as far as you go for your health. The others beyond, whatever reasons you have. So, if you're injured and you're cussing that you can't do the marathon, well, are you doing 2 to 4 miles? Wow. You got your health benefit, and just everything, the difference between a little bit and a lot isn't as much as you see. So, anything you do is good. I've been applying that to myself. Last night was one of those nights that I went 2 houses down and 2 houses back. And I want to tell you that my arthritic joints, I started off having a hard time kind of standing up and everything. By the time I got back from 400 feet of walking, tremendous benefit. I got the joints moving again. That's my speech.
I love that. Thank you so much. Yes, that's really true. Yeah. And this sounds like the research backs that up.
Definitely. Decade after decade, I keep seeing, further studies that that back it up and amplify it. Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, Cheryl, I just want to do a shout out for the Apple Watch also. I have one. And I think for those of us that are aging, and it's the reason that I got one, is it has a fabulous feature called a fall factor. So that if if I fall, what happens is the watch comes on and says, "Are you okay?" And you can press yes or no. And if you don't answer within a certain amount of time, then 911 is called automatically, you know, in case you'd have a stroke or whatever. I tell you, it is like one of the best features. And I actually had to use it once when I fell outside and cut my leg really badly. So my shout out for the Apple Watch.
Mhm. Yep. Anybody else before we close for the day? You might think of one thing you can start visualizing for yourself, like one small change that from the reading, as far as what do you want as in your future, like as you see yourself healthy and well and balanced. That might be one thing that you can start holding in your mind that you want to create. And also with community, because we create a field of loving and support, that just claiming that while we're together here, and also if you want to say it out loud, you can. We'll just kind of put in the light, but that we can all send a blessing to our intentions and our visions, so it can amplify and grow for you. All right. Well, I love you all. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope to see you on another Tuesday. Take good care of yourselves.
Thanks, Cheryl.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.